All right. Let's see if we are live and kicking. So I'm going to drop down here into the martial power system here. Looks like I've still... And all right, looks we have just gone live. Let me check my volume here real quick, see if I'm coming through. All right, looks we have just gone live. All right, sounds like I'm going through with good volume here. I'm going to grab my link here and boost on the social medias here real fast that we are live. And then we'll go ahead and get to work here. So give me a hot minute to press just a slew of buttons here, and I will distract you with my origin story. My name is Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. Make games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. I'll probably eventually start doing print stuff for myself, but it'll likely only be black and white because I don't see any color, so it's really difficult for me to proof that stuff, which is why I normally stick to digital PDFs because I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm, if it color matches, I'll never tell in print. But online, I can just grab photo references to pick up what colors I need based on the contrast that I'm looking for. So it's super simple. But today we're doing game design stuff. I've been a DM for the past 26 years. 27 years. Yeah. And I've been playing, 5th edition since, I've been making content for 5th edition since 2017 when the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica came out. That's what got me started actually publishing homebrew content for myself. I'd done a couple gigs doing some writing and design work prior to that for third-party content. But let's drop this here. If you want to follow me, I'm on the X Twitter platform at Phil Kearney if you want to twerp at me. Also, hey, look at that. My channel. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when I'm live in the future. And hey, thanks for Kraken Week. Everyone can check out my new videos that I have in my video section here for Kraken Week, the Spelljammer Mega Kaiju that I made. Thanks a lot to all the new folks that are checking out my channel. I hope to continue earning your interest and support. So thanks a lot for everyone that's new to the channel. I really appreciate it. Here's the full playlist of all 151 episodes of the Martial Power System development. It's been we've been developing this since 2022, and it's come a long way. We've done some play testing for it at the high end and low end, but we continue to tweak it now that the 2024 had been announced since we began this project. We were basically just working on honing it and simplifying it and making it smooth, so that when 2024 arrived, we know we'd switch it over. Let's see, full playlist. Here is the playtest content that we're currently looking at, which you can find on my Patreon. You do not have to be a member of my Patreon, though it is greatly appreciated if you do. If you click here, hi, that's us. Otherwise, the Martial Power System here, if you click into that, you'll see Martial Power playtest content, which is the same as Martial Power playtest content. This is a read-only document for y'all to tag along. I'll be editing it live in the document right now. So what is the Martial Power System? If you're familiar with 3rd and 4th edition, Martial Powers were basically alternate class features that aren't spells, but the Book of Nine Swords or the Book of Swords, what else was it called? The was it Martial Handbook? In 3rd edition, the Book of Nine Swords, that's what I know it as. It provided a sort of alternate magic system that provided martial maneuvers, exploits, strikes, and stances. So we've taken that idea from 3rd edition was amazing. I've talked about that a lot. And 4th edition kept the idea of powers for martial powers. They had whole books of martial powers for the 30-point progression that the various martial classes could take. So we've distilled and boiled down those ideas along with all the content that we have in 5th edition to play with, and we basically boiled it down to a half-casting resource system where there's 5 ranks of power from 1 to 5 from 1st level, 5th, 9th, 13th, 17th. You can prepare a number of martial powers per long rest. And then it's a mana point system that we use for all the color mana stuff that we have. This whole system is built on a 1-to-1 point ratio, where if you spend a point of mana, you can cast a 1st level spell. Cantrips don't cost any. Rituals don't cost any. A 9th level spell would cost 9 points. And we have various magic paradigms that can be implemented. Like the 8 schools of magic is the default magic paradigm of the Dungeons and Dragons multiverse. But we're huge Magic the Gathering enthusiasts. So what got me started in book design in the first place was when they created the Ravnica Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica setting. A lot of us thought, great, we're going to have official language about color magic in Dungeons and Dragons, and it didn't happen. Instead, to put it bluntly, they dumbed down Magic the Gathering to work with spell slots and the 8 schools of magic, ignoring the amazing 5-color mana system that they had been developing for the past 30 years in MTG. Since that didn't happen, we took it onto our own accord to create that color magic system, which you can, if you're interested, and God bless you if you are, you can click this link down here, and it'll take you to the 6 books that we have about it. So the most recent one we created was the Revived 5-Color Magic System, which broke down the different philosophy, like the aspects of magic and damage types that are associated with each color of magic. But we can just as easily do, and you can see here, like Blade War is a defense, like a warding spell protects you. So that's white, because white is protection. There you go. So that's one magic paradigm. We also implemented in the Tap and Tap Burn Elemental Key book. We implemented the 4 colors for the 4 elemental system of air, earth. Let's zoom this out. Air, earth, fire, and water. Or if you wanted to use the way of the 4 elements with mana, it would be red, green, and blue color magic. If you're doing like a Prismari or a Gruul or other type of characters like that, you can build them that way. So, but this recreated the same magic paradigm. Instead of being color based, to like here we have blue, red, and green. Over here we show like all the different spells and disciplines that a monk can use using the 4 elements of air, earth, fire, and water. And this is as deep of a system as you want. Like you can just use like a pool of mana or even spell slots if you want, and just say I'm casting this spell as a blue spell, or I'm casting this spell as an earth spell, and then you create the narrative that goes along with red could, like earth could be red, so like let's make this a red spell. So like when I hold person, it's the ground erupting around them, or like the air around them turning to stone and freezing them in spot like they're being petrified, right? So that's a way you could express hold person as either like an air, like as an earth spell, or as like a red spell, or like as a water spell. You freeze the water in the air around the characters so they can't move anymore. It's a very easy narrative system, but it's using point values. Or you could go hard tech and say that if you're going to cast a water spell, here's the spells that are water. And if you want to cast that spell, you have to have mana you have to break your pool apart into the different aspects of magic. Air, earth, fire, water, or white, blue, black, red, green, for instance. But 8 schools is too many. Like abjuration and necromancy and conjuration, it's 8 schools is too wide of a spread. It makes your mana pool too thin. You aren't able to effectively do anything well. And plus, you don't change a conjuration spell into a necromancy spell. You could narratively, sure. But since we're creating these visually descriptive narrative magic systems that don't have anything like conjuration or evocation or whatever, they're built around, like in this instance, 4 elements or the 5-color system. I could take a fireball and make it a white spell, right? It's just the fire burns, it's white magic. There you go, fire burns. Easy enough. By default, it's red. So I would have to have a point of red mana, and then the other points could be whatever they want. So if I want to have like blue, red, and green magic, I'll have to split my mana pool between blue, red, and green. And whenever I finish a short or long rest, I can change however much I have of each color in it. And when I prepare my spells, I can prepare it as its natural color, or whatever paradigm, whatever aspect of magic it would normally be in, but I can prepare it twice to change that. So I could take a red fireball and learn it twice as a fireball and then as a white fireball, and now I can cast fireball as a white spell or a red spell. But if my character doesn't have any red mana now, and he does have white, like Selesnya, for instance, is white-green. So a Selesnyan a wizard could throw a fireball, and you crafted it into a white spell. So now you can use your white mana. You can either reduce the amount of spells that you prepare per day so that you have less colors that you have to prepare with, or you can spend the downtime and gold to research the spell so it's always the color that you want. A feature of the Renown system in the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica is getting access to libraries within your guild so you can learn these spells to match the colors that are appropriate for your guild. Like Selesnya would have like a tree community of libraries that have all this information on bark and leaf or whatever that teaches you how to use any wizard spell or any cleric spell of the color that's appropriate for the guild that you're representing. In this case, it'd be Selesnya. It's like you could take like a Power Word Kill, which is a black-based spell, and you could make that instead a green spell. Like the spirit of the character is literally being pulled out of their body with the word of your command. That's how you could change the flavor for that to fit into a green fold, for instance. So that's how the system works. And but it's built to be very narrative. But you guys can check that thing out if you're interested, and if you want to pick up any of the stuff that I've created here to support more free access to my material, then bless you for your support, and I cannot thank you enough. So we're using that same system here of mana, and it's narrative based, so it just assumes that the 5 disciplines of power that we have within the book are just generic mana, and that if you spend a point, you can do whatever you want with. But you could also dive into paradigms, either narratively or hard mech. So if we wanted to, like, say, let's see, the 5 disciplines of power are back up here. There's exploits, which modify die rolls. There's maneuvers, which can be used as actions or bonus actions that generally affect other people, but sometimes modify what you're doing in the moment. Reactions are triggered by various circumstances that you spend mana and then you can perform the reaction. Strikes are channeled. When you hit with a weapon, you spend mana, you do more stuff, kind of like Divine Strike, but convert all of the paladin spells to Divine Strike class features, and that's the menu that you're picking from. We've got 35 of them, plus all the combat masteries, which are an additional 13 strike cantrip type things. And then sustain powers are like stances or concentration buff effects that affect your character only, that once you spend the mana to turn them on, they stay on until you take a long rest, or somebody dispels them, or you otherwise are incapacitated. So, which, of course, you're incapacitated when you start a long rest, so there you go. But otherwise, you keep them on all day. So, like, you could spend 3 mana at 9th level and turn on haste with no drawbacks when you turn it off, but you would be hasted literally all day. But once you do that, while that's active, you can't sustain anything else. You can sustain a number of powers up to your max rank, and the total mana required to channel those sustained powers cannot exceed your max mana. So I could have 3 first rank powers, a first and second rank power, or a third rank sustained power, and I can just turn that on and leave it on. That allows for incredible levels of customization for your character. Beyond that, there's feats. Instead of learning a power that requires mana, you could just learn feats instead, so you can save your ASI for actually increasing your stat bonuses. There's the combat masteries. You could also learn different types of damage. Like you could prepare the ability to just deal fire damage whenever you want, whenever you hit with a weapon you're proficient with, or when you're using a power that would deal damage. It's kind of like a sorcerer's meta magic feat, except that like you learn it and it always affects everything that you do. If you want to turn it on, it doesn't cost extra to do it. And so we have various powers. A hybrid class is like a ranger, paladin, or even artificer. And then the martial points is for monks, like the way that monks get focus points or whatever we're going to call them, get your key points back on a short rest. The barbarian, the fighter, the rogue, and the monk all benefit. Oh yeah, and the warlock also benefits from the martial point progression for pack magic, for warlock specifically. At 20th level, you get 20 of them. You get them back on a short rest. There you go. Each class has ways of cheating in extra mana. Like if you give up an attack, you get a free point of mana to spend to enhance the attack that you're already doing, for instance. You can give up your bonus. Some characters can give up their bonus action to use exploits for free. There's very the fighter, when you use second wind, you can spend the use of second wind to get mana back instead of hit points, for instance. So there's a lot of different ways that you can cheat this stuff into the system. and be able to have overall as much mana as, like, say, a sorcerer would have, but you're spending it in 5 or less chunks of mana per time. So you don't do big flash bane effects. You don't, like, contact a demon from the other dimensions. Instead, you're just consistently punching your way through obstacles with higher die rolls, higher ability checks, better saving throws, better action economy, different types of attacks that deal different types of damage and deal different conditional effects. So that's the system as a whole. So as we're going through the system here, we'll have again, you can look at all this stuff. Here's all the rules for how powers interact with your characters and spellcasting, how it's different from it. Here are the list of powers. There's currently 171 of them. 115 are disciplines. The other 50 whatever are like cantrip, like 32 feats, the 10 types of damage, and 13 combat masteries. 13, 20, 23, 33, 32 plus, then it's 42, 55. So if there's 55, this should be 170. So there's 170 powers total. 115 cost you mana when you use it, even though you often get free mana when you use them. And then there's the cantrip style, the 55 cantrip style, including feats, damage type, and weapon masteries that don't require any mana to use. So this is our framework here. And then further down, we're going to look at the classes. We've already chewed our way through the barbarian. We've chewed our way through the fighter, the rogue, the paladin, the artificer, the warlock. The only two left we have to chew up now is the ranger, which we're going to complete today, and the monk, which we're holding off. Our design stream for martial powers is on Tuesdays and Fridays, and we know the monk is coming on Monday. Perfect timing. So we'll be able to take all the stuff that all the options that we've created for the monk. We'll be able to see what it is that Wizards is doing with the monk for 2024, and then we'll know what we need to keep or change about the options that we have to jive and curve with the new scaffolding and power that the monk will have. Though I suspect a lot of what we do will be able to remain intact. So far, we're batting about 80% so far. The stuff that we've been developing, Wizards ends up doing something that's either similar or curves directly into what we're doing, so that it actually becomes like the ideas that we have in here are cool, in my opinion, and for those that have played it. It's cool stuff, but it's like 5.75. If 2024 is 5.5, a lot of the stuff in here is 5.75. But it becomes a lot easier for us to digest that 0.75 step from 5.5, where I was building it from a 5.0 space. It's now that Wizards has taken a sizable step in the direction that these ideas are already in. Now we're just, if they're at 7, we're pushing it up to 11. So let me juice up on some more coffee there and chase it with some liquid. Okay, so if we continue down here, we're going to take a look at the range. Let's get out of the barbarian path and get past. We'll work on the monk when we come back, but you can see here, like, all of the subclasses gain 10 powers, whether they're feats, damage types, or one of the 5 disciplines every level. And it's not specifically like at 3rd level you only get 1st rank powers, at 5th level you only get 2nd rank powers, blah blah blah. It's more flavorful than that. You get the things, you get the power. Most powers scale as you can up channel them up to 5 mana. So all these things scale, so it doesn't really matter when you get them, because you can prepare them every day. You can just prepare this list, assuming you're available for it, and then once you hit like 9th level, you no longer have to sustain. Like you no longer have to prepare Deadly Presence, because it's always prepared. That frees up that slot for you to learn something else in the future. So let's get past here. We already chewed on the paladin. The ranger, we may have to make some oath changes, but so far there's very little involving the actual paladin subclass scaffold that we need to do anything with, other than some like some glam ups, like the Oath feature. Like if you use your paladin aura at level 20, after you've used it, you can't use it again until a long rest, but we'll allow you to use it again by spending 5 mana. There you go, super easy. Just some glam ups like that makes sense. Last 2 sessions of the martial power system, we walked through the Ranger features and adjusted them accordingly to what we're now seeing in the 2024. We removed concentration. We're getting the advantage on the ability checks to hunt your prey. You're automatically getting a free point of damage every time you hit your prey, so you're dealing an extra power die of damage. For those that don't know already, a power die is like the mix between a martial arts die, a bardic inspiration die, and a battle master's superiority die, in that it modifies die rolls. If I spend 3 mana on a strike power, I'll do an extra 3d8 damage on top of the weapon damage with that. If I am first level and I use a power exploit that will allow me to increase my saving throw, I would increase my saving throw by a d6, which could make a considerable difference on whether or not I survive or not. It'd probably be worth the point if I had to spend it. So as I gain levels, as you can see, nothing here outcaps what native classes can do. You can't out-inspire yourself better than what a bard could inspire you if they gave you bardic inspiration. The battle master rolls d12s at the top end, as opposed to us being limited to d10s. The monk gets a d12 at high ends, as opposed to us being limited here at a d10. So like if I'm using a monk, I'll use my martial arts die instead of my power die, because ultimately it'll start at 6, 8, 10, 12. It's going to curve stronger than what this does. So the monk automatically has an edge over all its brethren in that sense. The battle master fighter also ramps up to a d12, so it's better than his allies. The paladin is using these power dice with their smite, so by level 17 they're out smiting. Like, they're dealing better damage, but at first level they're doing worse damage because they only have 1 mana they can spend at a time. They don't get the 2d8, which kind of breaks the hit point curve at very low levels. This keeps it actually in curve with you. And then they can spend a bonus action to get an extra free point of mana to spend on that strike, plus use a weapon or combat mastery on top of whatever the divine strike does. So there's huge advantage for the monk, for the paladin using it this way. But at the high end, with that bonus action, instead of doing 5d10 while the monk is doing 5d12, you'll be doing 5d10, and then you can use your bonus action to do an extra 6d10. So you then curve up to where and then you get the passive die, where you're always dealing an extra die. Like at a level 11, you get the improved divine smite, where you're always doing an extra power die of damage. So in the end, you're doing 6d10 damage whenever you smite as a paladin, and then you could use your bonus action to get an extra effect plus an extra die, so you could potentially ramp up to 7d10. And we got rid of the demon undead thing, so that was removed to maintain power balance overall. So that's how the paladin works. That's how the power die works. And so our ranger, when they use the hunter's prey, mark of prey. Thank you. It's a non-concentration sustained effect. Once you turn it on, it stays on forever. Eventually, you gain advantage attacking anytime with your target. It takes a bonus action to switch your prey until you get a high enough level that whenever you hit somebody with an attack, they automatically become your prey. So it scales well. And then whenever you mark something as your prey, the death mark at 20th level, if you are attacking your prey or you're hunting your prey, your power die is a d12 instead of a d10. So like if I was just like doing a saving throw to ramp my to get out of failing a saving throw, if I dump power into that to ramp my saving throw, it'd be a d10. But if I'm shooting my prey and I hit them, however much mana I decide to dump into a strike is going to be using d12s instead of d10s. So the ranger is another example of where we're cheating our way into d12s, making them an incredibly effective single target DPS. So we've been going through the conclaves. Rangers are a little unique in that they either have 0 spells or they have 5 spells built into their subclass. If their subclass has spellcasting, has a spell list that you on like the Fey Wanderer. They learn 5 spells, 1 per 3, 5, 9, 13, 17. In that case, you learn 5 powers. If the archetype would normally not have any powers, then you get 10. If you don't get any spells for free, we give you 10 powers. If they get 5 spells, then we'll give you 5 powers. If the subclass gets 10 spells, we don't give you any powers because you're a hybrid half caster and a power wielder. So a ranger could choose to prepare powers, or you could choose to prepare spells. But the spell cost and the power cost is the same. 2 points for a second rank or a second level spell. 5 points for 5 ranks of power or a 5th level spell. If you're memorizing, if you're concentrating on a spell, if you're a 3rd level character and you're concentrating on a 3rd level spell, you can't sustain any powers while you do that. If I'm a 9th level ranger and I'm sustaining 2 ranks of power, like say cliff running and the Mark of Prey, for instance, if I'm sustaining both of those effects, that leaves only 1 slot or 1 point of mana open for me to sustain something, so I could then choose to maintain concentration on, I don't know, Cordon of Arrows or whatever 1st level spell it is that you'd want to concentrate on as a ranger beyond what you're already doing. So you'll have that option. The 3 mana, you can stack up spells like that. A 17th level ranger would be able to maintain concentration on Swift Quiver, or 5 ranks worth of power. You can basically duplicate Swift Quiver with a 4th rank power in the system. So you don't need Swift Quiver. It's an inferior spell compared to what we're offering with power, and you get access to 4th rank at 13th level. So you get that Swift Quiver fantasy at 4th level, but it can either apply to ranged or melee attacks, and you can double dip into having bonus actions fire 2 arrows. Plus, you could use the frenzied attacker to gain an extra attack per round. So you could theoretically have 3 attacks during your attack action, and your bonus action you could fire off 2 more arrows. So you could be firing 5 arrows per round if you're willing to burn your action economy and your mana to do it that way. And you still have a point open for you to be able to pick up Mark of Prey. There you go. So you could have your Mark of Prey active, and you could be a frenzied attacker, and then you could be spending mana per round to fire off 2 arrows as a bonus action. So you could be a real grenade of an archer if you wanted to. Not to mention Steel Wind Blade, Steel Wind Strike. Thank you. As a 5th level power, allowing you to hit 5 targets. Yeah, that totally works as well. So however you want to use up your mana, that's your choice. You can blend it between spells and powers, and of course you could learn just like a bunch of feats and a couple powers, or a couple feat, like stack up on feats and like I don't know, Good Berry and Healing Word, for instance, and then the rest of the stuff is feats. So you become a badass archer who can heal his allies, and you have nothing to use your mana for except healing your allies. So anyway, that's the system in a nutshell. If you're interested in stuff, like I said, there's 150 episodes of us developing this full thing, and everything is pretty well cataloged that you know what it is that we're going to be talking about each session. So if you want to look at the barbarian stuff, just go down the list and look for the barbarian stuff, and whatever is the most recent is the new tech. So because we're constantly going through and revising and updating stuff. We did initial alpha play testing from level 16 to 20 last year. We recently did play testing at level 3 and 4. Now that we're getting 2024 information coming through, we're updating all the systems, and then we'll be doing play testing for level 5 through 10, starting later on this month. And once we have the monk under our belt next week, between Tuesday and Friday next week, we should have the monk finished. At that point, we're going to be good to go to actually start playtesting again. So once I get done with the ranger here, probably on this is Friday, Tuesday we'll be doing the monk, and then we're going to be building out our next hex for our next zone. We're doing a West March campaign format for the playtesting, so people can jump in and jump out, and it's all hex crawling. So there's no need for an ongoing plot each time we move into new terrain. It's basically a new episode, a new adventure for characters to throw their mana around with. So if you're interested in that stuff, definitely like, subscribe, and you can join my Discord channel. There will be a link to that in the video description, so tag along. And if you want to have first rights to sitting at the table, then join my Patreon for $1. It allows you to have first rights to seating any playtesting I do. If it jives with your schedule and you think it's cool, we'll throw a character together, and you can sling some dice with me and give me some feedback. So I'd love to have you on board. Thanks a lot. So we're at the Gloomstalker right now. The Gloomstalker is a half-casting class, so they gain 5 spells. All we're really needing to do right now is make sure that the list of powers that we have is jiving with the levels of stuff that you gain. So the general rule is that since you get the Mark of Prey at first level, and it allows you to spend a point of mana to channel a strike, you're always going to want to have a strike. So starting with the Gloomstalker class and all subclasses for Rangers, you automatically gain a strike power to make sure that strikes are always on your list to make use of your Mark of Prey with. So just to revisit the martial strike, basically the way that it works is that if you use a weapon mastery, weapon masteries according to 5e24 are bound to the weapon. We've opened up how to use masteries. I will demonstrate that to you here shortly for those that aren't aware of it already. So if a weapon has a mastery as part of its property, if you're proficient with that weapon, you can automatically use that weapon proficiency, that weapon mastery. You don't have to, like fighters learn 2 masteries, and if the weapon they use happens to have that mastery, then they can use that. Fuck you. No, we have 13 different combat masteries that if you prepare these, you can use them with any weapon you're proficient with. Like, it doesn't matter what weapon it is that I'm using. I can always force a target to make a Constitution saving throw, and if they fail, they can't take opportunity attacks until the end of their next turn. So, like, there are no weapons that have Addle. I made that up. But there are weapons that have Cleave. So I could prepare Cleave so that no matter what, I can always use it, because it's very realistic that if I slash your throat with a dagger, I can just extend that on and stab the next guy in basically the same fluid motion. You see that in movies all the time. It doesn't have to be like a specific weapon that does that. If you know how to follow through like that, you can do it. Hence you preparing that as a combat mastery. But there are weapons that naturally do it in D&D. I think the axe, for instance, the battle axe, has the ability to cleave. So if you're proficient in using a battle axe, you can always use the cleave feature with it if you're proficient in the weapon. You don't have to learn masteries. That is unnecessary glut that's being added to character classes. You can get rid of that and replace it with the power system. If you want to learn at 14th level, you can learn, at 12th level, you can have up to 13 powers known. If you want to know every one of these masteries and never spend mana, that you are welcome to do that. You can't use a mastery and a strike power at the same time. It's kind of like, because masteries are considered cantrips. So you can either cast a cantrip or you can cast a level 1 or higher spell. You don't do both at the same time. Same thing with strikes. If you hit a creature, you can either use a weapon mastery that's native to the weapon, a combat mastery that you already know, or you can spend mana to do a strike power. And the one contradiction to this, the way this works, would be the martial strike that the Gloomstalker gets at 3rd level. A martial strike allows you to, as soon as I find it, martial strike. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana channeled. So it acts like the Divine Smite feature, right? The way that all strikes do now. And you can use 1 combat mastery that you prepared, or that's a weapon of the weapon that you use. So like martial strike becomes like a generic feature that has no property tied to it itself, but allows you to add in a mastery instead of replacing the mastery. But there's so many different powers that do things. Like the Restrained Strike is also 1 mana. You increase your damage by 1 power die per mana that you burn, and the creature is restrained by magical tethers. And the effect ends when they succeed a strength saving throw at the end of their turn. The size larger creatures roll with advantage. There you go. So I can restrain any creature for 1 round, and at the end of their round, they can make a saving throw to break all of that. So Shocking Strike. When I hit a creature, I deal lightning damage, adding a power die per mana spent, and that creature cannot take opportunity attacks until the end of their next turn. You see how that is? It deals extra damage, and it automatically works. Compare that to the Addle mastery that we looked at, which is they make a Constitution saving throw, and if they fail, they can't make opportunity attacks. But the Shocking Strike automatically, they don't even get to save. It just automatically affects them because you're spending a resource to make it happen. Either spending mana at low levels, or you could sacrifice one of your attacks during your round to channel a point of mana to automatically strike them for free. Or if you know the combat mastery, you can just use Addle for free and risk the saving throw. So risk and reward. The reward is no mana spent. The risk is they could save. With the Shocking Strike, the risk is I spent mana, but the reward is that I automatically shock them so they don't have opportunity attacks. That's the flow and balance between risk and reward. So that's I consider that pretty good design, to be able to see the difference in those flows and how each one of them automatically has value for you. So a low-level character without a lot of mana could learn a bunch of feats and some sustained powers that you only have to spend mana on once, and you're good to go today. And then you can just learn a bunch of combat masteries and feats, right? So that you're always able to do something, or pick up weapons that you like the feats for, because you can always use them. But then if you prepare a combat mastery, I might like Great Axe because it gives me cleave for free, but I love Addle. Or what's a really good one? Step. Step is when you hit a target, you can move 5 feet without provoking opportunity attacks. Like, that's super good. So I could use, when I hit with my battle axe, I could either use its native cleave ability, or I could use the mastery that I prepared, which is Step. So I could do either one of them, or neither of them if I don't want to. But the Step is always useful. So keep that in mind. So, but that's what the martial strike does. It opens up access to using both added damage and using a strike effect, a mastery that you know, or that's native to the weapon. Alert is one of the feats that we get for free, and that's perfect for a Gloomstalker because, you know, you're that assassin hunter. Subtle channeling, that is a first rank exploit, I believe. Let's go verify that real quick. What subtle channeling? Channeling, there's no material components, there's no somatic components, none of that stuff. So to balance it, there's always a visual effect that can obviously be seen, and if you're targeted with a power, you know you're being targeted with a power. So when you see somebody flaring with magic and you feel that you're being affected by a power, you know that person's affecting me with a power, and you can place the blame on them and make them the target of your ire if necessary. But the subtle channeling feature, the exploit, is when you channel a power, it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost any action economy to do it, but it costs a point of mana to do this, which is there's no visual evidence that you're the source. They'll feel the power hit them, but they won't know where it came from. They just know that they're being targeted by some sort of power. So that can freak them out, and if you're the only one in the room with them, then they're going to assume it's you. But if you're using subtle channeling, other than them having a feeling, they can't prove it. There's no evidence of it, which is great for assassins or stealth characters, which is what the Gloomstalker is all about. Curse of the Eyeless, I believe that's still a first rank maneuver. Again, you can use maneuvers as actions or bonus actions. You can use the same maneuver twice in the same round that way if you choose. And it is Curse of the Eyeless. Doesn't look like it's first rank anymore. Oh, that's right. We removed it. It became Curse of the Clouded Mind for 2. So let's go to Curse of the Clouded Mind, because it was 2 hyper Curse of was like Curse of Weakness and then Curse of the Eyeless. Curse of the Eyeless gives you disadvantage on attacks, and like Curse of Weakness gives you disadvantage on saving throws, I think. So we just combined it. Curse of the Clouded Mind for 2 mana. Instead of learning 1 power each for 1 mana each, you could learn Curse of the Clouded Mind, which is you curse a creature that you can see to roll attacks and ability checks with disadvantage. It wasn't saving throws; it was ability checks. Like having a power specifically to cause a foe to have disadvantage on ability checks sucks. It's especially if they're changing the grappling rules so that you automatically are grappled and now you have to save to get out of it. That's different because now ability checks don't actually even come into it. So being able to attack or to blitz somebody's ability check, those together are worth the 2 mana, and the effect ends when the creature succeeds on a check. Otherwise, it stays active for however long necessary. They can also make an intelligence saving throw to end the effect at the end of each of their turns. There it is again. So if they can succeed on attacking you, end the effect. High risk and reward. You can learn. We have the efficient power meta feat, which if it's a second or higher rank power, you can take this feat to reduce the cost by 1. So even though it's a second rank power, Curse of the Clouded Mind, you basically only have to spend 1 mana for this. So being able to spend 1 mana to cause ability checks to be rolled with disadvantage by a target until the end of their next turn, that's really efficient. That's very, very efficient if you're hitting them. If they're attacking you or trying to climb away or swim away or whatever, you can just curse them, and then they'll be more than likely to fail. And then assassinating damage. Let's go check that. That's an exploit. It modifies when you deal damage. So let's make sure we know. Assassinating damage. When you deal damage with a weapon attack to a target that has yet to act in combat or is unaware of your attack, you deal maximum damage, including any additional damage dice such as sneak attack or when channeling a strike power. So it doesn't increase the amount of damage that you do. It just guarantees that you're going to do maximum damage. So it stays within the curve of damage expectations built around the game for 13th level characters. It just guarantees that for 4 mana, that's expensive. That's very expensive. But it guarantees max damage, which is fucking fantastic to invest into. And it's an exploit, right? So it gets done. You can do, as long as you have the mana, you can do it over and over and over again. You're just basically giving yourself amazingly lucky die rolls, right? So there you go. So those are the 4 powers, the 5 powers that you gain. And it looks like it curves out pretty nicely. So let's look again at the feat for Dread Ambusher. We're just going to go through the features real quick to make sure they still jive with the class features that we've already given to the Ranger. So let's take a quick gander at that. I'm going to blip in another page here and drop it down to the Ranger core features so that we can reference the Ranger without having to skip pages back and forth over and over again. So give me a second here to get down to it. I'm really looking forward to the Monk on Tuesday. Very looking forward to that. Let's see. Here we are, Ranger. Channeling features, spellcasting with power, empowered maneuvers, market. Okay, here's where their features actually start. The new stuff, Ranger specific stuff starts here. So this is the place for us to be. So Dread Ambusher. When you roll initiative, your speed increases by 10 feet. Okay. In addition, you can make an extra attack against your. Ooh, you can make an extra attack against your marked prey. Holy shit, that's tight. Starting at 5th level, this additional attack can be sacrificed to gain a free point of mana to channel a strike power targeting the marked prey in combination with empowered strikes. Is that what the feature is? Gloomstalker is where we're at. Let's go. Gloomstalker. Dread Ambusher. At 3rd level, you master your Art of Ambush. You give yourself a bonus initiative roll equal to your Wisdom modifier. When you roll initiative, your speed increases by 10 at the start of your first turn of each combat. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet, which lasts until the end of that turn. If you take the attack action on that turn, you can make 1 additional weapon attack as part of that action. If the attack hits, the target takes an extra D8 as 1 additional weapon attack as part of the action. If that attack hits, the target takes an extra D8 damage. Umbral Sight, 60 feet plus 30 if you already have it. Starting at 15th. You're invisible with dark vision. Yeah, this all jives. We already get the power die, which is more than what Hunter's Prey normally offers. So, Hunter's Mark, sorry. That's better than what Hunter's Mark offers. This works in conjunction with Hunter's Mark. So, instead of them getting extra attack and the extra D8, we give them the power die, which eventually becomes a D12 with what is it, Foe Slayer. And and then the extra attack. Wow, that's really fucking sick that they get that. Again, but at this level, you have to change your target with a bonus action, or initiate a target with a bonus action. At higher levels, you'll be able to automatically. What is the click over on that? When do you gain that? Yeah, there it is. Starting at 13th level, while sustaining the effect, you can mark a different target, a different creature as your prey as part of an attack without using a bonus action. So by the time you get to 13th level, the bonus action falls away, and you also get to score a crit on a 19 or 20. So yeah, that's definitely quality improvement, because like the fighter would get their third attack at 13th level, so without having to worry about spending a bonus action on it. So by 13th level, the Gloomstalker will be curving with the fighter and number of attacks that they can use without having to spend their bonus action. That's great. Let's see. And we already have Umbral Sight, that's taken care of. Level 7, Iron Mind, gain Wisdom saving proficiency, or if proficiency already, gain Enter Prof instead. That's as the book. I don't think I actually need that anymore. There we go. Let's see. Stalker's Flurry. At 11th level, once on each of your turns, when you miss with a weapon attack against your marked prey, you can immediately attack again with the same weapon, potentially turning a miss into a hit. That feels like that should be a power, like a reaction to reroll. Let's see if that actually exists already or not. I'm curious now. Redirect as a reaction to when a creature. Oh, that's if a creature attacks. Countering attack, defending barrier, moving target, roll up the hit. As a reaction, nope. Saving great. Nope. It doesn't actually seem to exist inside it. Feint. As a reaction to when you miss an attack roll, you can roll again, potentially turning the miss into a hit. This power is considered an opportunity attack. And here, Stalker's Flurry is once on each of your turns, when you miss with a weapon attack against your mark of prey, you can immediately attack again with the same weapon. Yeah, okay. So basically, they once per round, they get Feint for free. But you could also pick up Feint and use it on your second or third attack as well if you want, if you're willing to spend a point of mana to do so. So that still jives, and high quality added. Shadowy Dodge. Whenever a creature attacks you without the benefit of advantage, you can use an opportunity attack to impose disadvantage on that roll before you know the result of the attack. Whenever you can use an opportunity attack. Again, we can have multiple opportunity attacks. So we were talking about the mark action, and I think it's page 137 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, which is whenever you hit a target, you mark them for an opportunity. So if I hit 3 targets, if I'm an 11 level fighter, I hit 3 targets, all 3 of them are marked until the beginning of their next turn. During that time, if they trigger an opportunity attack, I can make that opportunity attack. Normally that means like if I'm stepping out of your area or whatever, I can make an attack and deal damage to you. But we have a lot of reactions that are considered opportunity attacks, that if the condition is met, you can spend mana to do the thing. And you can do it multiple times per round because they are opportunities. And in this instance, you have an opportunity attack anytime a creature that attacks me without the benefit of advantage. So it could be an archer 100 feet away. And if they try to target me and they don't have advantage, it would be, I could then use an opportunity attack if I have them marked. Like if I hit them with my own bow arrow, right? I could then mark them until the beginning of until the beginning of my next turn. That's it. And so if they then tried to counterattack me with their own bow and they're at long range, which means they're automatically never going to have advantage because they're at long range. The best they can do is mitigate it to remove the disadvantage. I would always be able to use that mark on them for free. Whenever a creature hits you without the benefit of advantage, you can use your opportunity attack to improve disadvantage on the attack before you know the result of the attack. Whenever a creature attacks you without the benefit of advantage, you can use this over and over and over again during combat, because it has no resource cost, nor does it have a limit in usage. So your shadowy dodge characters, not only causing them to not roll with advantage, but you impose disadvantage on the roll. If they might already have disadvantage, like if they're firing at long range or already at disadvantage, this isn't going to give you any benefit. But if they're within normal range but don't have advantage, they are as though they are at long range, having to roll with disadvantage. That's free, that's really useful, and it staves and curve with the design aspect that we already have inside of the game. So that works really well. So I am happy and content with the Gloomstalker. Let's now move on to the Horizon Walker, which I do ever so dearly love. Let's check the attack options that are here. I suspect they might not all exist anymore. So Psionic Strike should still be a first rank strike power. Again, you always want a strike power at 3rd level so that you always have the ability to, you always have a strike power prepared for your Hunter's Mark, your Mark of Prey. So Psionic Strike, how do you do? I deal force or psychic damage. Add a die of damage per mana spent. Cool. Phase attack. I think this has become precise attack. Let's verify. It should be an exploit. Let's see where it sits. Breath of Life, Cooperative, Extended, Evasive, Overrun, Shuttle, Wind Strider, Power Synergy. Precise attack. When you make an attack against a target with less than full cover, you can ignore the benefits of cover, roll with advantage, and roll a number of power equal to the amount of mana spent this way, adding the highest result. So you automatically spend 2, you ignore cover, you have advantage, and you can roll 2 dice, keep the higher result, and add it to your attack roll. And you can learn it twice to buy it down to being only 1 mana, so that's actually super useful. But it is now called Precise Attack. Anchor, I think, is still a 3rd rank reaction. Let's verify. Anchor is super fucking cool. Hold on. Anchor, 3. It costs 3 mana, can't access it till 9. As a reaction to a creature that you can see is moving, teleporting, or shifting planes, whether voluntarily or forced to shift planes. Before doing so, it takes 1 power die of damage per mana burned and must succeed a charisma saving throw against your channeling DC. If it fails, it can't move, teleport, or shift planes until the beginning of its next turn. A falling creature targeted by this power remains fixed in space until the duration ends. If the target is an ally, you don't have to deal damage. You can reduce the mana cost by 1. Let's see. You can forgo dealing damage and reduce the mana cost by 1. And we already have noted up above that whenever you target an ally, they can just, any creature can just automatically choose to fail a die roll if they want. They can choose to fail a save. I don't know if that actually exists anywhere in the game system for 2024, but we're hard coding it that you can always choose to fail saving throws so that we don't have to redundantly add that in over and over again into the power listings. So that, like, if your friend gets punched off of a cliff and they're going to free fall to death, you could anchor them and they freeze in place and they stay there. Until the end of their turn? Until the beginning of their next turn. There you go. So your entire team has an opportunity to go try to figure out how to keep them falling into oblivion. If all you got to do is just basically staple them in space. If an ally is being banished by like a banishing strike or hurl through hell, for instance, is a warlock ability. You could anchor a target and not get hurled through hell. You stay put. You can't move either, but it's a really great get out of going to another dimension free card. It only costs you 3 mana to use it, and you can buy it down to 2 if you want. It's super useful. Buy it down to 2. It's automatically only going to be 2 mana if it's your ally, and if you decide to learn it twice, the cost drops to 2 to 1. For 1 point, you can prevent your friend from getting teleported away, punched off of a cliff, pushed, batted around by a Hydra that's using multiple opportunity attacks with each of its heads to juggle your character in between the heads. You just lock them in place. It's useful. Very useful. So good. I'm happy to see that. What else we got? Ghostwalker. I don't know if Ghostwalker still exists as is. I think it does. Let's verify. Sustained power means once you turn it on, it stays on. So let's see how it's worded and if it needs to be touched on. Giant growth, cloud growth, strength for 1,000%, celerity, daunting, ghost walker. While sustaining this power, you become incorporeal, gaining resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. You can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. Any round you end within an object, you're ejected from that space, returning to the last position you occupied or the nearest location to that space, and stunned until the beginning of your next turn. You cannot interact with objects and creatures while incorporeal this way, but attacks that deal force damage are unaffected. So you have to empower yourself. You can pick up force damage at 5th level, so you're always dealing force damage, and then you can stack that with Ghost Walker so that you can become incorporeal, which basically makes attacks at disadvantage against you, and you gain resistance to those different effects. So yeah, there you go. Let's see. And I'm going to change this to and incapacitated until the beginning of your next turn, because if you get incapacitated, it automatically drops the ability. So this is anytime you get stuck inside of a wall, it punts you out of that space, it incapacitates you, and automatically ends the effect your mana burns. So you lose the sustained power if you end up inside of an object somewhere. It kicks you out and the power ends. That feels fair to me. Plus, it's a sustained power. You have to. It doesn't say you can become incorporeal. It says you are incorporeal. So while you're using this effect, you are incorporeal. You can't touch anything. While sustaining this power, you become incorporeal, gaining resistance to non-magical blah, 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 blah. You can move through other creatures and objects as if you were there. Any round you end with an object incapacitated this way. You cannot interact with objects or creatures while incorporeal this way. But attacks that deal force, you cannot touch or communicate. You cannot touch objects or creatures, and you cannot be heard while incorporeal this way, but attacks that deal force damage. Let's see. While sustaining this passive, you become incorporeal as a translucent image of yourself. So you're still visible. You're only gaining resistance. Oh, let's go resistance to non-magical plus basic damage. We should call this elemental. No, because thunder is elemental and poison isn't. So let's word that. Now that we have the words, let's word it. Basic magical damage. Basic magical types of damage. Thank you. Become incorporeal as a translucent image of yourself, gaining resistance to non-magical. Oh no! If I do that, I'm going to overclock. You'd always take You'd always take this as opposed to resistance. You know, because we have adaptable resistance that gives you damage resistance like that. So it's 2 mana for the non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage. Here we give it for free. Plus you have that incorporality. Instance of it. While sustaining this effect, you can channel 2 mana to become ethereal until the beginning of your next turn. While sustaining this effect, you can channel 2 mana as an exploit. To become incorporeal. In addition, while sustaining its power. That'll work. In addition, while sustaining this effect, while sustaining this power, you can channel 2 mana as an exploit to become ethereal until the beginning of your next turn. That's useful. Okay, cool. I like that. And very appropriate for the Horizon Walker. And then Indestructible, sustained 4. Let's go check that out. That was 3, Indestructible 4. While sustaining this power, you gain resistance to all damage and attacks can't score critical hits. In addition, as a reaction to taking damage, you can dismiss this power and burn 2 mana. If you do, until the beginning of your next turn, you are immune to the triggering type of damage. Super useful. Very appropriate for the Horizon Walker. Cool. So let's check their shit here. Detect Portal, 3rd. At 3rd level, you gain the ability to magically sense the presence of a planar portal. As an action, you detect the distance and direction of the closest planar portal within 1 mile of you per rank of power gained as a ranger. So at 17th level, it would be 5 miles. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Alternatively, you can burn 1 mana to regain use of the feature. See Planar Travel Guide, DMG, for how you would identify a planar portal. Let's see. Once you use this feature, let's see. At 3rd level, you gain the ability to magically sense. At 3rd level, you gain the ability to magically sense the presence of a planar portal as an action. And as a ranger, if you you can maintain concentration to remain aware of the portal, aware of any portals, losing, gaining and losing awareness of portals, of different portals as you move away or towards. Gaining and losing awareness of any current or new portals that you move within range of sensing. That's not perfect, but that's why we hire editors, right? So, cheers. For now, it's good enough. Planar Warrior, 3rd level. You learn to draw on the energy of the multiverse to augment your attacks. You can choose to deal either force, necrotic, or radiant damage instead of weapon damage when you hit a creature marked as your prey. Oh my god, that's so good. So, at 3rd level, normally we wouldn't be able to learn we wouldn't be able to learn that type of damage until 5th level. We get access to it 3rd, and we always have them prepared for free. That's super useful. 7th level character, you learn to step through the ethereal plane as a maneuver, which means you can use it as an action or a bonus action. You can cast the etherealness spell with this feature without expending a spell slot, but the spell ends at the end of the current turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest, as though you had incorporeality as a ability. You gain access to this at 7th level. What level do we gain access to? We get Ghost Walker at 13th level. You could pick up Ghost Walker as soon as 9th. So the etherealness is pretty nice for the moment. Once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Alternatively, you can burn 2 mana to regain the feature. Once you get Ghostwalker, you automatically have that force damage because of the Planar Warrior feature. You can always deal force damage, which means you can always deal damage while you're ghost walking, which is, again, super useful. Ethereal Step. Distant Strike. 11th level. You gain the ability to pass between the planes in the blink of an eye. When you take the attack action, you can teleport up to 10 feet before each attack to an unoccupied space you see. If you attack at least 2 different creatures with the attack, you can make 1 additional attack with it against a 3rd creature. This 3rd attack can't be used with empowered attacks or empowered maneuvers. Let's see. An 11th level, 13th level. If you attack at least 2 different targets with the attack, you can make 1 additional attack with it against a 3rd creature. The 3rd attack can't be used. Oh, with empowered attacks and empowered maneuvers. Empowered attacks and empowered maneuvers, again, if you sacrifice an attack, you can gain extra mana for whatever you're hitting. And so if I had an attack left over, I hit you, I have 1 attack left, I could, instead of making that attack, I could sacrifice that attack to get a free point of mana. So I can deal an extra die of damage and inflict you with a 1st rank power condition, right? This means that I could strike with it, I could use a strike power, but I can't sacrifice this attack because it's not guaranteed I'm going to have that attack. So it doesn't allow me to use empowered attacks and empowered maneuvers. So then I would be able, if I had that ability, I could target you, my friend, as my next target to attack, but then I sacrifice that attack to get power to use to damage that guy instead. So it's not guaranteed I have that attack. I actually have to target somebody to gain it, which means it doesn't qualify for empowered attacks or empowered maneuvers because I won't have it until I actually attack something. So it's conditional modifier, which is more conditional than the general rule of I can sacrifice attacks for mana. So the hierarchy of specificity means that I can't use it for empowered strikes or empowered maneuvers. So Spectral Defense. 15th level. Your ability to move between planes enable you to slip between the planar barriers to lessen harm done to you during battle. When you take damage from an attack, you can use an opportunity attack to give yourself resistance to that instance of damage, unless it's force damage. I'm very happy with this. God, Horizon Walker is pretty good. Hunters, we're going to see some significant changes to the Hunter in 2024, but for now we're keeping it as is. Hunters normally don't get any spells at all. Again, the Horizon Walker does get spells, so they only got 5 powers. The Hunter gets no spells, so we give them 10 powers. Punish and Sweeping Strike. Let's see if these things... Punish, I don't know if Punish still exists or not. Let's find out. It's a reaction. There's a strike, and the strike is Sweeping Strike, so let's check that out. 1st rank. Sweeping Strike, only. Your weapon deal damage increases by 1 power die per mana burned. You can choose a 2nd creature within 5 feet of the original target and within your reach to attack with the same roll. If the attack also hits the 2nd target, let's try that again. 2nd target, it takes an equal amount and the same type of damage dealt by the original attack. And it costs you mana to do that, so that's why it's the equal amount of damage instead of just like the cleave maneuver deals what, just weapon damage. I think this is basically an enhanced. This is a mana cost cleave, and so the cleave effect is the target takes my ability modifier in damage unless it's a negative ability modifier, which is horrible compared to Sweeping Strike. That's why Sweeping Strike costs mana to use, because it deals extra damage, and all of that extra damage is going to go to the next target. So you kind of get in a twofer. which is honestly too much. So let's double check that. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana burned. You can choose a second creature within 5 feet of the original target and within reach of your attack for the same roll. If the attack also hits the second target, it takes an equal amount. It takes the same. It takes the damage. Same amount and type. Additional damage. Equal to the result of the power dice rolled. There, it's not the actual core weapon damage. This is going to be the amount of power dice, which is significantly better than the cleave effect, but it's not so broken that it outclocks everything. So that's too much power for 1 mana. The die roll plus your strength roll plus conditional modifiers plus the actual strike mana, it's too much. So this is going to be more imbalanced. I'm happy with that now. Punish. Let's see if Punish still exists. I know I've made some revisions, so let's see where we're at. I no longer see Punish. Let's see. This is a retaliation sort of effect. So oh, wait a second. Maybe it moved down. I don't want it. I can't give them a sustained power at 3rd level because at 3rd level they only have 1 rank of power, and we're having to assume that they're going to be sustaining Mark of Prey. It's the only way to operate fairly. Otherwise, it's a dead ability. So let's. Oh, Sentinel. Let's just give them Sentinel feat. That makes fucking sense. And then Vanish, I think that's still 1st rank. Let's go, that's a maneuver. So it can be used as an action or a bonus action. Vanish, 1st rank, there you go. You become invisible until the beginning of your next turn. There you go. Bloop, you're gone. Empowered Defense, I believe that's still true. Where'd you go, buddy? Oh, no, it doesn't. Empowered Ability. That's what it converted into. Assault, Shout, Vanish, Rally, Goad, Flatten, Distract. Oh, these are maneuvers. Duh. I want reactions, which is Empowered Defense. Let's see if it actually exists. A Curse of Fate, no. Maybe I need something else. Oh, re-roll an attack, any attack, ability check, or saving throw, including a number of power dice. Saving Grace. 2 mana to use it. Not bad. Countering attack, empowered defense. Let's go with Saving Grace instead. Moving target, reaction 2. As a reaction to when a creature you can see moves into or within the reach of your melee weapon, you can make an attack, even if the target is using the disengage action, rolling 1 power die per mana channel, adding the highest result to your attack roll. This attack is this power is considered an opportunity attack. So it's 2 mana to do that. It ignores disengage, and you're going to roll 2 dice because it's 2nd rank power unless you learn it twice. So you'll assumedly roll 2 power dice, and you'll keep the highest result as your attack roll. Not bad. So it's basically an enhanced opportunity attack. So that is still good. And then Rogue Stance is a first rank sustained power. I know that's still good. Just to look at it again real quick, super useful. You can use a bonus action to dash, disengage, or dodge. And that's while it's a sustained effect. So while this power is active, while this power is sustained, you can use a bonus action to dash, dodge, or disengage. Super useful. The dodge is something that Rogue normally doesn't have. So it's possible that a Rogue would want to pick this up just to have dodge added to their cunning, their cunning actions. Roll up the hit. I think that's still second rank. This guy's got a lot of reactions. Roll up the hit. As a reaction to taking damage from an attack, you reduce the damage by half. This power is considered an opportunity attack. So I can use this over and over again. Roll up the attack. Again, you can buy it down to 1, so it'll cost you to do it. Redirect. Reaction. Redirect is now 1 mana. As a reaction to when a creature within reach of your melee attack that you can see hits another creature with an attack, you can redirect the attack to target another creature you can see within reach of that attack using the same attack roll. The weapon is considered an opportunity attack. Again, multiple opportunity attacks per round, so that is super useful. Let's make that first, and then the roll up the punch second. And then Frenzied Attack, we were talking about this earlier, and Flurried Attack. Ooh, boy. So it's native 4/3, which overclocks your character. You could buy it down to 3 and 2, so you could have that filled, but you wouldn't have room for Mark of Prey, so keep that in mind. Frenzied Attack, Sus 4. Let's go check our susses. And then this is what, a maneuver? Nope, Flurry of Attacks, Frenzied Attack. Flurry of Attacks is a maneuver. That's right. So you can do this. So you can have Frenzied and you can have Hunter's Mark active, and then Flurry of Attacks becomes the bonus action we were talking about. So let's double check this real quick, know what we're talking about. Yeah, here we go. Frenzied Attacks. While sustaining this power, you gain 1 additional attack when you take the attack action. And you gain advantage on all attack rolls while you do it. And of course, this extra attack is part of your attack action. It's consistent, so it can be used with empowered strikes or empowered maneuvers. This can be used. You can use this extra attack as part of an empowered strike or with the as part of using the empowered strikes and empowered maneuvers feature. Perfect. Frenzy attacks. A-OK. Flurry of attacks. Maneuver. It's probably maneuver 2. Let's verify. I know we've gone through some changes with maneuvers. Strikes. Reactions. Again, maneuvers can be actions or bonus actions. And you can use them both in the same turn. Oh, yeah, it's double strike now. You can make 2 attacks. Yeah, you can make 2 attacks. It's just simple. Let's double check though. Make sure. Yep, double strike. So double strike, I could spend 2 mana and I can make 2. I can make 2 attacks either as an action, which would benefit the rogue to do so, or as a bonus action, which benefits everyone. I could use it twice. If I buy it down in cost for 2 mana, I could do it twice per round. Action, bonus action. That's 4 attacks. An 11th level fighter could spend, if you learn it twice, 1 mana, so you get your 3 attacks normally. And then you could sacrifice one of those attacks and do it for free. So attack, at 11th level, sacrifice your last attack, empowered maneuvers 1 point of free mana to use as a bonus action, and you can then use double strike for free. So you're automatically cheating. Your fighter can give up an attack to get 2 more attacks, and then you can use the action surge to get another action to get another 3 attacks, which you could then sacrifice one of the. Well, you already took double strike, so then you just get 3 attacks. So if you use that action surge, you can get a total of 7 attacks in a round. That is super useful. Let's just change that to double strike. You see how these things we're pairing action economy with damage. You can swap action economy for dice. You can swap dice for action economy. There's a real transparent it's permeating both sides of that divide, so that you can really sculpt as you gain levels. Like I run a campaign from level 1 to 20 in about 250 hours, so my team absolutely gets to use all of this stuff in a normal 1 to 20 5e campaign, and they're able to build their own action economy around this, so that they can make their own round of combat flow the way that they want it to. So, but that's all the powers that the hunter has, and those all run smoothly. So let's go down here and dip into our features. Hunter's Prey. At 3rd level, choose one of the following benefits: Colossus Slayer, Giant Slayer, Horde Breaker. When your marked prey is larger size than you, increase your power die by 1 up to 12. That's super useful. Like at 3rd level, I'm using a D8 against targets that are larger than me instead of D6s. Eventually, Foe Slayer will dead end, because at 20th level, your marked prey is already a foe of D12, but this remains great until 20th level. So, and then at 20th level, it's just everyone. It's always going to be, whether your marked prey is larger than you or not, so it still has added value. Giant Killer, when using the Punish power against marked prey that is larger than you, gain a temporary point of mana to channel with the power. When using the Punish power against a mark, we don't have the Punish power anymore. It got converted to the Sentinel feat. Let's go with, let's see. When using the Punish power against a marked prey that is larger than you, let's use when using the moving target. This is only 3rd level. How do we want to resolve that? When using the Sweeping Strike, when channeling Sweeping Strike, channeling the Sweeping Strike power against targets No, this isn't jiving. How do I want to do this? Horde Breaker. When you target your marked prey with Sweeping Strike, the second creature takes the weapon damage in addition to the power dice. Oh my god, that works so smoothly. Okay, so we gotta go look at Giant Killer real quick, because we had a change in features. Hunter. Let's look at Giant Killer. When a larger creature within 5 feet of you hits or misses with an attack, you can use your reaction to attack that creature immediately after its attack, provided that you can see the creature. That sounds like a... It's like a counterattack. I know what counterattack is. We have counterattacks. Let's go look at our reactions. I think we have a solution in here somewhere. punishes you attack them for attacking you. Anticipate. That's it. That's what... Sentinel's a cool idea, but anticipate is exactly what this guy needs. Reaction 1. Here's what anticipate does. As a reaction to when a creature within reach of your weapon attack that you can see makes an attack, before they roll to hit, make an opportunity attack. Roll a number of power dice equal to the amount of mana channeled this way, adding the highest result to the attack roll. So anticipate's hot. So when channeling the anticipate power against targets that are larger than you, you gain a temporary point of mana to channel the power. So you can anticipate for free, basically. Anticipate takes 1 mana. It's not an opportunity attack. Oh yeah, it is. You can hit. It's an opportunity attack. Let's see. When channeling the anticipate power, the action power against targets that are larger than you, once per round, you gain a temporary point of mana to channel the power. There, once per round, which jives with, even though we made an opportunity attack, you can use it multiple times. For the giant killer, it works once, which jives with the once per round reaction limitation. And you can trigger it for yourself, so... Once per round, not per turn, per round. Wordbreaker, full damage, not just power dice when you use the sweeping strike. Perfect. You can choose to learn the remaining power, and then here's the kicker: you get one of these for free, and you can learn each one of them as a power. So if you take the hunter, you're basically getting access to an exclusive list of powers that only your character has access to. So let's keep looking at them. 7th level. Escape the Horde. Rogue's Stance becomes permanent with 0 cost. And we picked up Rogue's Stance at 9th level. So Rogue's Stance needs to be 5th. And Saving Grace needs to be 7th. It needs to be 9th. So that it curves out. Like, the chances of you using Rogue Stance at 5th level is very little, but by the time you get to 7th level, it's free. So it should be on your list, and then it becomes 0 use. So it doesn't get in the way, and then it won't get in the way of using Mark of Prey. Let's see. Multi-attack defense. Reduce the cost of empowered defense to 1st rank. Target, redirect, roll to hit. 13th level. Reduce the cost of empowered defense. Seventh level, huh? Shit, how am I going to deal with this? Well, what does it normally do? What does multi-attack defense do? Multi-attack defense, when a creature hits you with an attack, you gain a +4 bonus to AC against all subsequent attacks made by that creature for the rest of the turn. Oh, that's right. Hold on. Let's go check our exploits. Evasive footwork. When you channel this power, when you move, you gain... No, that's not it. Windbreaker, Swift, Empowered Synergy, Precise Attack, Restrain Hold. Resilient Save. When you succeed at saving throw, reduce damage, you take none or half. Nope. Reaction? action, as a reaction, move, countering attack. Interaction when a creature is within range, cast a spell, make an attack. Defense barrier. Anchor, curse, fate spinner. No, we got rid of the shield effect. We could. Let's do it. Let's do it this way. How is it written? We can do this. This will be great. Let's see. When a creature hits you with an attack, you gain a +4 bonus to AC against all subsequent attacks made by that creature for the rest of the turn. When a creature hits you with an attack, you gain a +4 bonus to armor class against all subsequent attacks made by that creature for the rest of the turn. So I have to track this change. If I'm being attacked by 7 creatures and 4 of them hit, it's a +4. I now increase my armor class by 4 against those specific targets. Boy, that's a super conditional tag. I do not like that. Let's change that. Let's change that. Let's go with let's change it to this. Multi-attack defense. Let's make it actually multi-attack and multiple defense. Let's go with when you are attacked more than once, during when you're hit by an attack, you can use a reaction to roll a power die, increasing your armor class for all subsequent attacks until the beginning of your next turn. That's far more binary, which we want a lot. We want binary to allow for more options. Binary makes things simple. It allows us to stack on effects and stuff if it either is or isn't. It's just good design to have binary when there's a lot of different things that can be done. And in Steel Will, you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. I'm cool with that. And then I can learn any of these as powers. When you're hit by an attack, you can use a reaction to roll a power die, increasing your armor for all subsequent attacks by the result of the roll until the beginning of your next turn. Perfect. Multi-attack. 11th level. At 11th level, choose one of the following abilities: Volley and Whirlwind. Volley. As a maneuver, you can burn 1 mana to make a ranged attack against any number of creatures within 10 feet of a point that you can see within your weapon's range. You must have ammunition for each target as normal, and you make separate attack rolls for each target. You can choose to channel strikes for each target hit with the maneuver. Attacks made this way cannot be used with the Empowered Strike ability feature. or empowered maneuver feature. Whirlwind attack. Gain the whirlwind attack class feature as above, which allows you to make multiple attacks to targets that are within reach, and then spend an extra point of damage, an extra point of mana to teleport to one of the creatures within 5 feet of them that you attacked. For each point of mana, that at 5th level you can attack 2 targets, and you can attack 5 targets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up to 5 targets at 17th level. If you spend, and you can spend any amount of mana that you want, you have to spend at least 1 point of mana to deal 1 power die of damage to all of them. If you spend 5 mana, at 17th level, you can attack 5 targets. If you only spend 1 point of mana, you deal a power die damage plus your modifiers to all of those targets. At 17th level, if you spend 5 mana, it'd be 5 mana to all of those targets. 5 dice. There you go. And then I can choose to learn those as powers. And then finally, Superior Hunter's Defense at 15th level. Evasion. When you are subject to an effect such as Red Dragon's Fire, blah, blah, blah. Dexterity saving throw, half damage. Stand against the tide. Reduce the redirect power to first rank. Redirect. Do I have redirect? I do. Redirect is already a reaction. Let's see. Redirect. To 0 mana. Well, if the hit to 1. Is that right? These are reactions, right? Let's go find reactions. Roll the hit. It's 2. And redirect is as a reaction to when a creature within reach of your melee weapon that you can see hits another creature with an attack. You can redirect the attack to target another creature you can see within reach of that attack using the same attack. Roll as a reaction to when a creature within reach of your melee weapon attack that you can see hits another creature with an attack. You can redirect the attack. Once per round, you can reduce the cost of the redirect reaction to 0 mana. Uncanny Dodge, reduce the rank and amount of mana used to channel roll up the hit to 1. You can choose to learn the remaining options as powers. There you go. Monster Slayer, Swarm Keeper, and that'll end it. Cool, so let's get through these. Monster Slayer. They know 5 spells, so they get 5 powers. Martial Strike, that exists. Anticipate exists. Countering Attack, that exists. Curse of Exposure, I think that's been changed. Let's verify. Is that a reaction? Yeah. Oh no, it still exists. I don't know if it's 3rd or not still. Curse of Exposure, 3rd, there you go. As a reaction to when you see a creature within range taking damage, you can impose vulnerability on the target. Alternatively, if it has resistance, it loses this property, and if it has immunity, it instead has resistance. 3 mana to use it. Expensive as hell. Okay, cool. And then hexproof. What's that? Oh, it's 4. There you go. Reaction upgraded to 4th. Hexproof goes like this. As a reaction to when a creature you can see targets you with a spell or magical effect, you are unaffected by it, wasting the spell or effect. Okay, Slayer Senses. 3rd rank. At Third level, you gain the ability to peer at a creature and magically discern how best to hurt it. When you mark a target as your prey, you immediately learn whether the creature has any damage immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities, and what they are. If the creature is hidden from the divination magic, you sense that it doesn't have any. You can use this feature a number of times equal to the max rank of power you gained as a ranger. So at third level, you can use it once. And you regain uses on a long rest. You could always spend a point of mana to have another use of it. Slayer's Praise, third level feature. When you hit your marked prey with a weapon attack, increase the power die size by 1 up to 12 dice. When you channel, when you hit your marked prey with a weapon attack, any strike power you channel increases the power die by 1 size up to a d12. And then Supernatural Defense, 7th level. When your marked prey forces you to make a saving throw, or you make an ability check to escape a grapple against the creature, add 1 power die to the roll using the larger power die from Slayer's Prey. Excuse me. Magical Nemesis. When targeting your marked prey with the countering attack and anchor powers, that should be and Curse of Exposure powers. It's called? Yeah. Curse of Exposure powers reduce their rank and the amount of mana they require to channel by 1. There you go. Slayer's Rebuke. When your marked prey forces you to make a saving throw. When your marked prey forces you to make a saving throw, you can make an opportunity attack against it. If you hit, you automatically succeed the saving throw. Nice. Wow. That's fucking tight. Swarmkeeper. Let's see what we got. Distracting Strike. There it is. Controlled Fall. Yes. Cloud Strider. I don't think Cloud Strider exists anymore. Let's go find out. It would be a maneuver if it does. No, it is a sustained power. Is that right? Cloud Strider? Yep, second rank. Is that right? No, third, right? No, 2. Yeah, Cloud Strider. While this power is sustained, you can fly using your walking speed. You must end your turn standing on a surface that will support you, or the power ends. When it does end, you gain the benefits of Feather Fall spell. Cool. Defense Barrier, reaction 2. I believe that's still intact. Defense Barrier as a react. What is this? Swarmkeeper? Oh yeah, Swarmkeeper. As a reaction to a source you can see targeting you with an attack, you create a momentary opaque barrier, granting you full cover against the attack, causing it to automatically miss unless it ignores full cover. The barrier disappears after the attack, which is very much in keeping with the Swarm Keeper. Bugs unite in front of you, and they take the hit, and then disperse. Curse of the Fallen Puppet, reaction 2. Yep, Curse of the Fallen Puppet. This is one of the ones we lifted everything for the Blood Hunter. Some of it were renamed and remixed, but it's all still here. So Curse of the Fallen Puppet is remaining. As a reaction to when a creature you see drops to 0 hit points, you can command the creature to move up to half its speed and make a melee attack against a creature you can see, rolling 1 power die per mana channeled, adding the highest result to the attack roll. So, Curse of the Fallen Puppet, you kill something, your swarm basically flies up its nose, takes command of the creature, and attacks with it. There you go. Bob's wrong. Features. Pick your swarm. There you go. A swarm of intangible nature spirits have bonded itself to you and can assist you in battle. While you're alive, the swarm remains in your space, crawling on you or flying and skittering around you within your space. You determine its appearance. Choose 2 combat masteries. Add them to your list of prepared powers, and they don't count against your total number of powers known. You can choose new masteries when you gain a new ranger level. When you hit your marked prey, you can use either mastery as part of the damage you deal to the marked prey in addition to any strike power. So basically it was like the paladin thing. When you hit your marked prey, you can use either mastery channel. There you go. Writhing Tide. You can condense part of your swarm into a focused mass that lifts you as a sustained power. You can tap or lock. You can you up as a first rank sustained power. To gain a flying speed of 10 feet, and you can hover. Your gathered swarm grows mightier in the following ways. While sustaining Writhing Tide, the swarm gives you half cover. Creatures that make a save against your swarm's combat masteries roll with disadvantage. That's sweet if there is a roll. Swarming Dispersal, you can discorporate into your swarm, avoiding danger. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to give yourself resistance to that damage. You vanish into the swarm and then teleport to an unoccupied space that you can see within 30 feet of you. When you reappear with the swarm, you can use this feature a number of times equal to the max rank of power gained as a ranger, and you regain all uses when you finish a long rest. You can regain 1 by burning 3 mana. And that concludes the Ranger. And we knocked that down in what? Hour and 45 minutes? Badass. All right, we're looking really good here, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and, that's a good enough day. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. We're going to be back. We're going to be back tomorrow morning to do our Saturday morning stream. I have no idea what we're going to work on right now. We're going to work on whatever we want, and we'll decide that when we wake up tomorrow. So tune in with me, 9 a.m. PST time. Starting Monday through Friday next week, we'll be back in the morning to continue our Eberron artwork for the cartography of the Crystals of Mabar adventure for 4 to 5 characters, level 7 to 8. And let's see, Monday night we'll be back on doing Spelljammer cartography. Friday night we'll be back on doing Thursday night we'll be back on doing Spelljammer cartography. Tuesday and Friday lunch, we'll be working on the Monk, just like we did with the Ranger today. And then on Wednesday's been sketchy whether or not I can show up. So I'm going to assume I don't have Wednesday this week. If I do, we'll do something special. So, maybe this Saturday we'll work on Spelljammer subclasses. That used to be our Wednesday project. We had to knock it out because my work week has just been too busy. Yeah, that's everything. So, like, subscribe, bell icon, notifications, jump into my Patreon, check out my books on DMsGuild, support me on Patreon, and tweet at me on the X Twitter platform if you're interested. I will be back tomorrow morning in approximately 30-ish hours, and I will see you guys then. Thanks a lot.